I was ankle-deep in cow dung when a man in a tie gave me a bill for $47,322.14. It seems the HOA sued my late uncle's ranch, accumulated fines because, since 1997, 2 years before I was even born, then they threatened to foreclose what they didn't know. I'm not only a grieving nephew with muddy boots, I am a licensed land use lawyer, and they'd made one critical legal mistake. At first I thought it was a joke, some annoyed neighbor's joke or a con from a tabloid front page. But no, the guy prior to me, shine shoes, clipboard tie, yelling corporate ego, was stone cold serious. He cleared his throat like he'd practiced it and told me, per HOA guidelines, cumulative penalties on this property total $47,322.14. You've got 30 days to pay or we'll begin foreclosure. I looked at him, then the gunk on my boots, then back. You waited behind a gate. 2 goats and a rusted old tractor to inform me my barn's an eyesore. He didn't blink, so there I stood on a scrawny piece of ground. I wasn't sure I even needed holding a bill that accused aesthetic crimes against my dead uncle from the Clinton era. The timing was craziness. Uncle Ted owned this spread since the 80s, long before HOA broke out, and way before they labeled this dusty ranch a community. In 1997, I was still in 1997, I was still in diapers. But this man itemized infractions, unauthorized enclosures, non-conforming livestock confinement, and my personal favorite unapproved shade structures might be the tractor roof, Ted rigged for the goats, and actual blight. I spoke with the Thai guy, Phil. Of course I'll check into it. He grinned like a waiter after a bad tip, handed me a brochure with an invitation to become part of the community officially, whatever that was, and pranced away as smug as sin. I stood there allowing the ridiculousness to sink in, and then laughed so hard she almost slipped in the dung. Not because it was amusing, but because it was so crazy it broke me, to be blunt. I did not inherit a manor. This was Ted's retirement rebellion, 50 acres of rough land, half-sea falling down barns and leave me alone types. He built it himself, operated it like a frontier outpost. I had not laid eyes on him in years when the telephone call came. He died, no will. No kids, just me. The city nephew he barely knew took everything from the shack to the chickens. I figured a grim cleanup, perhaps a speedy sale to the state, but discovered something strangely peaceful. Not HOA brochure material. The more I mulled it over, the worse it smelled, worse than the dung heap. How does an HOA discover a property dating back before its existence that night? In the one room with electricity, I rummaged through Ted's documents. None were burned or goat nibbled and discovered zilch. None notices, no liens, just this unexpected cash grab from an HOA that appeared to have been conjured up out of thin air. It was like someone saying, hey, your ghost friend owes me. The next morning, a woman stood at the gate, arms crossed like she'd already staked the deed. Blonde ponytail gold, hoops a mint green jacket. She introduced herself as Sharon, of course, and said, I'm Ho President. We've been patient. This property, he's been a neighborhood blight for decades. I blinked. Lady, my uncle had more cows than neighbors. She didn't crack a smile, just launched into a spiel about community standards and beautification, claiming she'd filed reports for years. Then she slipped me a real estate card. If it's too much, I can help you sell discreetly. We'd even waive some fines there. It was not just a clipboard nut, but a land shark who'd most likely bullied Ted for years now. With him out of the way, she viewed me as the soft city coward who'd fold it. Would be funny if it weren't so audacious. That's when it dawned. This had nothing to do with goats or fences. It was a land grab, and they labeled me as spineless. They didn't realize I'd spent 3 years dug deep in municipal law, passed the bar 6 months ago, and turned under a guy who splattered HOAs for recreation. And most importantly, my filthy boots walked into a mind already scheming a counterattack. I smiled, told her I'd consider her proposal. She departed self-satisfied, believing she'd won by nightfall. I had a whiteboard erected, notes scrawled on walls, and a binder labeled HOA. Takedown sadness was forgotten. I was arming myself. Then the mailbox spat up a pink letter, official, seal of closure, intent from the HOA treasurer. I hadn't unpacked yet, and they'd already struck. They didn't know they'd just given me ammo. I was nodding. Rope days blurred, rummaging through files, watching Sharon cruise past in her SUV, like a petty crook casing a joint. Mornings brought fresh violation notices, stapled on the fence, not mailed hand, delivered goats too. Too loud pre-7 a.m., unauthorized structures, the 90s chicken coop, now raccoon turf and my gem, the scarecrow's threatening stance I half expected a fine for, excessive dandelions I played, dumb smiled nodded, allowing them to underestimate me in town. I took the HOA charter community map from hit the county clerk for founding, dates and 90 zoning archives. My jaw clenched slow. The HOA began in 1999, Ted's Ranch never on its original map. No covenant executed, no annexation, nothing. It hung outside their control like a balky ox. And now they were retroactively lassoing it in. Phil came back no tie, golf shirt, wraparound shades just off a flubbed putt. Less smug, more rehearsed, he leaned on community harmony, quoted the fines as indicative long-term nonconformity, then dangled a local buyer to deal with peacefully. If I was intimidated, name rhyme was Sharon. I inquired, he blinked, smile like a shady poll stated. We don't release buyers, but the board wishes this friendly. I'd agree it once I checked whether my scarecrow went to jail time. He didn't laugh. They never do next morning. A noise complaint struck Rooster too rowdy. I recorded it in my binder, each fine visit offer. Catalog photos, taken timestamps in a spreadsheet born. They desired dirty I go surgical Sharon. Raised it, held a cul-de-sac meeting by my property. No Zoom, just chairs and a podium, like a stump speech. I sat and watched her sermonize about property value saboteurs. Someone applauded, another asked if the ranch could be condemned. Sharon played Deaf Greg, a gas station, regular waved, sheepishly mouthed. Sorry, I thumbed up. Went inside that evening, legal tabs glowed. Precedents of HOAs overreaching on unclaimed land rulings. Clear no agreement, no power. But I needed intent malice, a pattern. Then it broke an online forum post from a 2018 ex-resident driven out by the same playbook. Ghost finds threats, cheap buyouts. Sharon named, they replied fast, same story by midnight. I had 5 tales, some anonymous, some tied to deeds. Sharon's crew had bullied anyone blocking their vision. Most folded I wouldn't. Next morning a letter duct taped to the barn. Not a fine, but Sharon's hoe is stationary, polite but smug. She liked my grit but cautioned, resisting progress, incurred expensive hardship, proposing one final conversation tomorrow. I glared, not afraid, impressed by her nerve to threatening calligraphy. I prepared, cleaned the porch, made coffee, stacked my docs, rigged a laptop stand like a war room, concealed a recorder under the table. When her SUV pulled up, she emerged, crisp shirt, fake pearls, clipboard, smiling as if she'd won. I smiled too. Sat her down, chattered about legacy and change, offered a higher number investors willing to jump at. What's the HOA's legal ground to search for a non-signatory property? I queried. She blinked brief, but then spun historical inclusion. Board consistency. I crept over the county map, my land beyond their lines. Her smile twitched. I hunched low, Sharon. You're trespassing, filing fraud, slandering my title, advancing illegal foreclosure. You made this personal. I'll make it legal. Her eyes slit, her voice dropped, threatening me. No informing you, she left silent, no flair, just retreat. I knew she wasn't done. Just cornered a week past, quiet. Heavy Sharon didn't quit. She recalibrated, I kept building. Requested HO records, copied fines, scanned notices, dug up Ted's tax files, found a 2004 notarized no-HO letter signed and filed slam dunk. Or so I thought, then a restraining order slid under my door, court-stamped, claiming I'd harassed Sharon and Phil, unwanted visits, threats, damage to property. Laughable but deliberate to gag me, paint me crazy. I called a law school friend, we filed a counter-rebuttal. Quickly added my Sharon recording, disproved every falsehood. Monday's hearing was a beige box courtroom. Sharon was brunch chic. Phil smirked, their attorney, a divorce hack, flubbed easement like a novice. I explained the map, Ted's letter, how a charter played the tape. Sharon promising to cure my ills for a sale. The judge cut their response short, tossed the order, admonished Sharon regarding false filings. I left consistent, not victorious but resolute. She appeared shaken, her clipboard sliding 2 days later. Greg held emergency HOA meeting. No warning slip by a drunk board leak. I parked outside the clubhouse, observed Sharon scribbling on a whiteboard. Phil flipping papers, some board members balked one. Gray and Balding stormed out that evening. A yellow envelope landed on my floor. Not mailed, dropped a law firm that bullies settlements, accused me of interfering operations, demanded $5,000 in ugly structure removal within an HOA memo mint. Internal spilled a zoning loophole plot to annex my ranch through a shared dirt road banking on old county regulations. Someone, perhaps Baldy, snuck it in. I didn't sleep, rage burned. That memo was gold. Intent conspiracy evidence, they knew they had no claim. I copied, scanned, supported it, drafted a counterclaim. Harassment title, slander, process abuse, fraudulent annexation piled on the memo map. Letter tape, Greg's rally clip. Punitive damages fees, filed it next morning. Court-stamped game on Sharon got served by noon. Phil slunk back, no tie. No swagger, just tired. "You really want this," he muttered. "You started it." He nodded, left headlights hit. Later, a black SUV, not hers, dropped an envelope, deposition demand from a new firm. Not Sharon's, upping the ante. I appeared in creased boots, rumpled shirt, bought tie for flair. Their conference room screamed HOA, lifeless, carpet, mock fern, water bottles like a truce. Two suits flanked, Sharon lips a tight line. Silent lawyers grilled me like I was a squatter. I stayed cool, sarcastic, just right. Why no fines paid? What's your legal grip on a non-HOA ranch? Why record Sharon, my land one-party consent, state work, with the HOA? Sure, straight to court. Sharon's brow flicked, they fumbled. Ted's letter stumped them. The memo spooked them. A break shifted their tune settlement probes. Sharon glared, fury replacing smug trial. Hit my claim, accepted damages on the table. The HOA tried ousting Sharon. She blocked it, dug in. I subpoenaed 5 years of finances. 2 days later, an anonymous board email dropped a spreadsheet. Fines, funding trips, unreported cash. A party matching Sharon's bash. She walked into court, beige suit, pearls heels clicking defiance. I wore the bow. My friend hauled docs, the judge sharp. No fluff, gave fair time. I unloaded map letter, memo tape, spreadsheet video. Silence fell, their side flailed community. Intent implied consent but crumbled. No jurisdiction, no dice. The judge ruled instant fines, void foreclosure. Fraud, Sharon scolded $118,000 to me. Liens lifted, she froze. Phil shrunk the board, asked her that night. Unanimous, Phil quit the hoe. A spun PA and I ignored it, stayed fixed. The coop painted, the barn constructed a higher fence. Hung a sign, private property, no however, no Sharon's. Greg delivered pie, the inspector enjoyed my blazer-clad scarecrow 1 month later. A note, you win no cinder. I complained it, not proud but sure, this was Ted's legacy. My stand, the ranch flourishes. Goats bleat, scarecrow towers, hoe we steer.